Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we as people love labels. It makes the world easier to digest. Cheater, victim, good, bad, loyal, disloyal. But life isn't a black and white script. It's not a clean cut scene where the villain twirls his mustache and the hero walks off into the sunset. No, my friends, real life is full of gray zones, silences between dialogues, and emotions that don't always follow logic. When a woman cheats, society's reflex is to judge harshly, quickly, loudly. She betrayed him, or she must be selfish, or she must be heartless. But stop, just for a second, stop the dramatic background score playing in your mind and listen. What if she wasn't trying to destroy anything? What if she was just trying to feel alive again? You see, women, especially in our culture, are taught to give. From the time they are little girls, they are handed invisible trays of responsibility. Smile, be polite, dress properly, love your family, be patient, be understanding, be everything for everyone. And they do. God, do they give. They become daughters who stay silent to keep the peace, wives who sacrifice dreams, mothers who forget their own names while raising their children. And for the longest time, they believe that love means losing parts of yourself for someone else. But then, somewhere along the way, something shifts. Maybe it's years of being unacknowledged. Maybe it's a partner who no longer looks at her like he did when they first met. Maybe it's a house full of people but a heart echoing with loneliness. Maybe it's just exhaustion, the kind that doesn't go away with sleep. And in that moment, she doesn't think of rebellion. She thinks of relief, of connection, of someone seeing her not as a cook, a caregiver, a background character, but as a woman, a person, a soul that once used to laugh without thinking. Does that justify the act? No. But does it explain it? Yes. An explanation is where empathy begins. The truth is, humans are not programmed lines of code. We are messy, emotional, beautiful creatures who sometimes make terrible decisions out of heartbreak, not hate. And I know what some people are thinking. Why not leave? Why cheat? Because sometimes people don't want to destroy the life they built. They just want to feel something again without setting fire to everything else. It's not courage that's missing. It's clarity. Clarity doesn't come when you're drowning in numbness. It comes much later. Often too late. Often too late. I once read somewhere, people don't cheat when they stop loving. They cheat when they stop feeling loved. And that is the core of human complexity. You can sit across the dinner table from someone for years, share a life, a roof, a routine, and yet feel like you're living with a stranger. The world outside applauds the photos you post, the anniversaries you celebrate, the roles you perform. But what the world doesn't see is the silence between those pictures. The nights you cry quietly in the bathroom, the days you dress up and still feel invisible, the way your laughter becomes forced, the way your eyes dim, one unspoken disappointment at a time, and then someone, maybe a colleague, maybe a friend, maybe even a stranger, says something simple. You look tired. Are you okay? You matter. You matter. And suddenly it's like a breeze through a suffocating room. Is it love? Not always. But is it tempting? Oh, absolutely. Because when someone offers you attention, affection, admiration, especially after a drought of it, it feels like water in the desert. It doesn't mean she's heartless. It means she's human. We are so quick to crucify women who cheat, yet so slow to ask, what did she endure before she broke? And no, I'm not saying all who cheat are victims. I'm saying people are more than their worst decisions. We all want to be the hero of our story. But sometimes even heroes fall. And when they do, what they need is not a stone thrown at their chest, but a mirror held up to their soul. To ask, not with anger, but with curiosity, what pain are you carrying that made you act this way? Human complexity doesn't excuse betrayal, but it reminds us that behind every act is a story, and behind every story is a person. So before we judge a woman who cheats, maybe we should ask ourselves, what kind of world have we created where she felt that was her only way to feel alive again? Because in that question lies not her shame, but our collective responsibility. Sometimes the loudest thing in a relationship is the silence between words, the silence between two people lying side by side but feeling 1,000 miles apart. That silence, it can be deafening. We talk so much about betrayal, don't we? The drama of it, the act of it, the shock. Oh. But we rarely talk about the space that came before it, the emotional drought, the desert in which love was once planted but never watered again. That's where the emotional void begins. People think cheating happens in a moment, in an impulsive text, a stolen kiss, a reckless decision. But it doesn't. Cheating begins quietly, subtly, silently. It starts with someone feeling invisible. A woman can wake up every morning, make breakfast for her family, pack lunches, go to work, smile through meetings, come home, help with homework, clean up after dinner, and still go to bed feeling unseen, not unloved exactly, but not felt, not touched with the soul, not noticed in the way she used to be. In the beginning, love is loud. It's dramatic. It's the stuff movies are made of. Eyes that linger, hands that brush accidentally but say 1,000 things. It's butterflies, fireworks. Songs playing in the background of every moment. But love that isn't nurtured becomes background noise. And no matter how strong she is, how responsible or put together or loyal, if a woman keeps pouring from her cup without ever being refilled, she begins to fade. And here's the thing, she doesn't even realize it at first. She thinks she's just tired. She thinks it's just a phase. She blames herself for not being as cheerful, as glowing, as fun as she used to be. But what she's really suffering from is emotional starvation. She's craving attention, not the shallow kind, but the deep gaze that says, I see you. I still choose you. You matter. She's craving affection, not the routine hug before leaving for work, but the kind that feels like home. She's craving presence, not bodies in the same room, but hearts in the same moment. And when that craving goes unmet for too long, the void grows. She doesn't wake up one day wanting to cheat. That's not how it works. She wakes up wanting to feel. And when someone comes along, maybe a friend, maybe a stranger, who makes her laugh again, who notices the little things, who listens with his eyes and not just his ears, it shakes her. Not because he's perfect, but because he makes her feel alive, wanted. And when you've been emotionally numb for so long, feeling anything becomes intoxicating. Now, some people will say, have fire to partner. Why not fix it? And to that, I say, sometimes she tried, but her words were dismissed. Her tears were misunderstood. Her tears were misunderstood. Her silence was misread as moodiness. Eventually, she stopped asking to be seen and started looking elsewhere to be found. It's not just a romantic issue, it's a human one. We all want to be felt deeply, to know we still spark something in someone's soul. Think about it. How many couples are there who sit across from each other every evening, scrolling on their phones, sharing space but not their hearts? How many women serve dinners with a smile but a storm inside? How many give and give and give and give and never ask for anything in return? Until one day their emptiness becomes unbearable. The emotional void is not created overnight. It's built with every ignored how was your day, every year overreacting. Every moment her presence was taken for granted. Every time she dressed up and no one noticed. Every time her laughter faded and no one asked why. And that's when the risk appears. Not out of evil, not out of malice, ahoti, evil, but out of hunger. And the worst part, even after crossing that line, after stepping into something forbidden, she may not feel joy. She might feel guilt, shame, confusion, because it's not about not loving her partner. Her partner longer recognizing herself. Cheating for many women isn't a declaration of desire. It's a symptom of depletion. And maybe we, as a society, need to stop making villains out of people and start asking, what made her so emotionally empty that she reached for something, someone, anything, to feel again? We need to talk about affection, about presence, about emotional intimacy. Because love isn't just about being faithful in action. It's about being faithful in energy, in attention, in care. It's about choosing each other every day. Not just in public, not just in anniversaries and photos, but in the quiet, ordinary moments. Because if we don't choose each other in the small things, we risk losing each other in the big ones. You know, it's funny. No, not haha funny, but tragically ironic. How the world reacts when a woman cheats. The way the volume of society suddenly goes up, the judgment becomes louder, the shame is served quicker, and the headlines are sharper. She becomes the villain, the destroyer, the home wrecker. But when a man cheats, It's different, isn't it? We say things like a men are like that only. It's just a mistake. He still loves his wife. He just got carried away. And that right there is what I call society's most subtle crime, the double standard. You see, from the moment a girl is born, she's wrapped in expectations like a tight fitting dress. Be soft, be sweet, be loyal, be sacrificing, be everything, but never too much. She is raised to protect her family's honor, carry the culture's pride, and if she dares to step out of line, even for a heartbeat, she is called everything but human. But when a man slips, the same society adjusts its lens. Suddenly, he's confused, he's under pressure, he needs time. And the same people who tear a woman apart will gather around him with a drink in hand, saying, "It happens." Yeah. Why? Because society doesn't just expect women to be perfect. It demands them to be perfect without fail, without feeling, and without freedom. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you heard someone say, "A poor woman, she must have been emotionally neglected"? She probably felt invisible in her own home. Or maybe she was trying to survive loneliness. Almost never. But we say it for men all the time. Because for men, we look for the backstory. For women, we just write the ending guilty. When a woman cheats, her entire character is put on trial. Her clothes, her smile, her phone habits. Even her friends are blamed. She hangs out with divorced women, no wonder. Her integrity becomes a family discussion. Her mistakes are stitched onto her reputation like a scarlet letter. But for a man, his mistake is just a moment. Something to forget, to move on from. Why is she shamed? And he is understood. Because society isn't fair. It's convenient. It worships women when they're mothers, saints, or sacrifices. But the moment a woman steps outside that carefully drawn line, she is no longer someone to protect. She becomes someone to punish. She becomes someone to punish. We tell women to be honest in love, but when they express dissatisfaction, we silence them. We say marriage is a partnership, but only one side is allowed to feel tired, to be flawed, to seek more. And here's the most painful part. Many times, other women are the first to throw stones. Because even they were raised on the same rules, to judge before they understand, to protect an image rather than support a sister. And in this storm of blame, we forget that infidelity, though wrong, is still a human act, born not from evil, but from emptiness, from mistakes, from needs unmet and voices unheard. No one's excusing it. But can we stop crucifying women for being human? Can we hold space for their flaws the way we do for men? Can we ask not what's wrong with her, but what went wrong around her? You know, I've played lovers in films who chased trains, crossed countries, fought traditions. But in real life, love isn't always so dramatic. Sometimes love dies quietly in kitchens, in hallways, in text messages left on a scene. And when it does, when a woman finally breaks the rules, it's not always because she's wild. It's often because she's been breaking inside for years. Yet society doesn't want to hear that part of the story. It wants a villain to punish, and a woman who cheats makes the perfect one. But let's try something radical. Let's be fair. Let's admit that cheating by man or woman is a symptom, not a standalone crime. Let's stop using gender as a scale for shame. Let's stop forgiving men and crucifying women. Because if you really want loyalty in a relationship, if you want honesty and trust, then it starts with equality. It starts with seeing both partners as people, flawed, emotional, capable of making mistakes, and also of redemption. We don't need more rules. We need more compassion. More truth-telling, more courage to understand before we judge. Because in the end, we're all walking stories. Some chapters are glorious, some are shameful, but all of them deserve to be read completely, not just the parts that are easy to accept. So the next time you hear that a woman cheated, don't lower your voice and raise your eyebrows. Raise your understanding. Raise your humanity. Because love may be blind. But society has one eye open, and it's always watching women.